Dear friends, the topic for today's lecture is management and development of management thought. Management is one of the fascinating areas that touches our lives on a regular basis. All the organizations and corporate houses, public sector organizations that we see around us, and in fact in our personal lives, management is omnipresent. And the basic objective for today's session is to understand the concept of management and the development of management thought over a period of time. And besides this, we will also look into the contribution of various researchers in the field of management. The importance of knowing about the concepts of management and the development of management thought is that it helps us to understand how the processes work within the organizations, how people work as a team and contribute towards the development of organizational goals. And besides this, development of management thought helps us to understand the contribution of previous researchers in the field of management. It also helps us to appreciate the role of these historical development in the current management practices. It would not be an exaggeration if we say that the current management practices are both a reflection as well as a reaction to the past management theories. The reflection represents that whatever has been proved, that the practices that were proved over a period of time, that these practices yield the results, and we are continuing with those management practices in current scenario as well. And if we feel that there are certain changes, that there are certain practices that were not going well, and as a reaction to those practices we have devised, we have come out with new theories and principles to develop the new management practices for the current management scenario. And if we look back into the history of the development of management, it's very evident that the history of management extends to several thousand years, but it's only since 19th century that it has assumed a shape of formal discipline. So speaking from the point of view of management as a discipline, it is a very it's a discipline that has developed quite recently, and as an interdisciplinary approach it has borrowed from all sorts of subjects. Maybe it is psychology, mathematics, statistics, sociology and other allied subjects. So now it has emerged as a separate discipline. And if we go into the practice of management, though the management as a discipline is a nascent, of recent origin, but the practice of management is as old as the human race itself. This is evident from the facts that the earlier records that show us that the development and the use of management principles dates back to 2900 BC, when in Egypt 1 lakh people were employed for 20 years to build pyramids. It's evident that it was not a single person's job, and there must have been somebody who must have designed these pyramids. There must have been somebody who must have managed the teams, and there must have been somebody who must have managed all these efforts where thousands and thousands of people were employed, and for one particular goal, that is constructing the pyramids. So management principles were utilized in the construction of Egyptian pyramids as well. Besides that, there is also an example of Great Wall of China, where thousands of people built the wall, and the management effort was needed there and then also. So if we go to the contributions that were made to the development of management thought, several civilizations and countries put forward their own principles and theories for the development of management thought. Greek, Chinese and Romans have played a very important role in the development of management in the Middle Ages. And it is said that in Venice, in Italy, which was known for its fighting power and production facilities, had been found to have assembly lines techniques to outfit galley ships to go to wars during 15th century. That means even assembly lines were used even in the 15th century for the production of the ships. Besides this, it's very clear that though the historically developments have been taking place in the field of management, but the theories of management have developed quite recently. And if we go to the broader classification of all these theories have been broadly classified into three categories. The first category being the classical management theory, the second being the neoclassical management theory, and then the modern theory. And if we look at the classical management theory, this extends from 1880s to 1920s. That means later part of the 19th century. The classical management school evolved as a result of Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution, say, was the beginning of replacement of the manpower, extensive use of manpower by the machines. And we have seen with the coming in of rails and the railroads, say, transportation was facilitated, and there was the concept of mass production. And when the concept of mass production came in, so the classical management school started evolving, because the organizations needed to produce at a mass scale, and this needed to develop the skills within the managers and within the machineries and within the people and labor, so that the production could be done at the mass scale and the efficiency and the effectiveness of the organization could be proved. So here the efficiency basically means the optimum use of resources, and optimum use of resources, avoiding the wastage or overuse of the resources, and besides, and effectiveness means the attainment of the organizational goals, so that teams could work and attain the goals as they were desired to be. And the contribution of the classical school of management was that first it trust on the application of the science in the practice of management. It was, the idea was promoted that science and implementation of scientific knowledge can improve the efficiency and effectiveness of management, and overall practice of management can be developed by applying the scientific principles and tools. And besides that, it also helped to develop the basic management functions within the organizations. So this was the basic contribution of this classical management theory. And if we look at the classical management theory, there are three areas. It can be subdivided into three segments. One being the scientific management, and second being the administrative, and then third being the bureaucratic management. The scientific management movement was started by Frederick Winslow Taylor, is considered as the father of scientific management. Frederick Winslow Taylor basically advocated use of scientific methods and methodologies for the implementation at the organizational level. The basic principles of scientific management are as, first, the job that an employee does should be broken down into elements in a scientific way to perform each element to be determined. That means that in an organization, the jobs performed by the people should be analyzed, and scientific methods should be used to perform those jobs. The objective was to find the one best way. That means a job should be done that used minimum resources, minimum effort, and it could yield maximum efficiency and effectiveness, so that the best way of doing a job had to be found out. And scientific methods of analysis were needed to be used for finding the best way of doing a particular job. And second principle of this scientific management theory is that workers should be scientifically selected and trained to do the work in a designed and trained manner. So the thrust was to be laid on proper selection of the workers, so that the workers are selected as per the jobs that had to be done, and they had to be trained scientifically. Their movements, the way they had to perform their job, first that needed to be analyzed scientifically, and then the workers needed to be trained so that they could do the job as per the scientific analysis and as per the best practices that were evolved through the scientific analysis of that particular job. So the workers needed to be selected as well as trained in a scientific manner, so that they could perform the jobs as per the proper description and design and arrived at through the scientific analysis. Besides that, another principle of this scientific management is that there should be a good cooperation between management and workers, so that the tasks are performed in a designed manner. So the emphasis is laid on scientific designing of the jobs so that the workers do their jobs as per the designs that have been provided to them. As per the dictation of the management, the job has to be done by the workers. And besides that, another fourth principle of this scientific management is that there should be a division of labor between managers and the workers. Managers should take the work of supervising and setting up instructions and design the work, and the worker should be free to perform the work himself or herself. So the aim of this principle is that there should be a proper division of labor, and the manager should concentrate more on supervising the job, how a job is being performed, how a job is being done, and besides that, scientific analysis of a job and designing the work so that as per the scientific principles of analysis, and the worker's job was to perform the job as per the job design. So they didn't have the liberty to what we call as say do the job as they wanted to do, but they had to perform the job as per the job design. And one of the greatest criticisms of this scientific management theory was that it did not consider human beings as the human beings having their own emotions, having their own power to think and improvise. So it considered human beings as the machines and parts of the machine, so that they were devoid of any emotion and thinking, and they had to perform their jobs without their emotions put into the job involved. So they had to perform their jobs as per the dictation and as per the design. And this removed one very important element, that is what we call as the element of human behavior, human emotions. So it was criticized a lot on this factor, that it did not recognize the human emotions and human say contribution of human behavior. So the maximum emphasis was laid on scientific analysis of the job and performing the job as per the design, and the economic reward was considered as the only reward that could motivate a person. In later stages, it was proved that the behavior plays a very important role. The personality of a person plays a very important role in shaping his thoughts and in shaping his behavior within an organization. And after the scientific management, we saw the advent of the administrative management theory. The father of administrative management is Henry Fayol. He basically gave an idea of how an organization should work. Say from the scientific management perspective, it showed us the use of scientific management and principles at the shop floor level. But Henry Fayol basically emphasized on the principles that should be adopted in running an organization very efficiently. Besides Henry Fayol, other contributors in the field of administrative management are Chester Bernard and Linda Urwick and others. So basic contribution of Henry Fayol is that Henry Fayol has given 14 principles of management that that managers should use in order to run organizations efficiently and effectively. These 14 principles are division of work, authority and responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, subordination of individual interests to general interests, remuneration, centralization, scalar chain, order, equity, stability of tenure of personnel, initiative, and spirit de corps. Basic objective of all these principles was to manage or to develop an organizational structure that is efficient and effective. So division of work basically was aimed at, basically the concept of division of work has been given by Adam Smith, and he has emphasized that it's very important in order to maximize the efficiency and the productivity of the employees, division of work should be made. And division of work refers to this, say, dividing a particular job into repetitive tasks so that different people are employed to do the task in a repetitive manner, and which can result in the efficiency or the productivity, increase in the efficiency and productivity of a particular job. Besides authority and responsibility, authority is very important, that managers should have authority and there should be a clear-cut idea who exactly controls an organization, where does the authority lie. Discipline is another important principle that has been given by Henry Fayol, that no organization can sustain and survive in a chaos. So there should be a discipline within the organization. There should be unity of command and unity of direction. That means people should know within an organization what are the goals of organization, what is an organization striving for, so that every member of an organization works in such a way the ultimate aim and the goal is to attain the goals of the organization. Another important principle that has been given by Henry Fayol is subordination of individual interests to the general interests. Here the spirit of teamwork, that organization the individuals have to subordinate their individual interests for the organization goals. So the ultimate objective should be attainment of the organizational goals, not the individual interests by an employee. And besides, there should be, say, stability of tenure is another important principle that has been given by Henry Fayol. Stability of tenure of personnel is very important, that, say, employees should feel safe within an organization and they should have a stability of tenure. And if we look at the work, if we compare the work of Frederick Winslow Taylor and Henry Fayol, we can see that the Taylor worked from the bottom of the hierarchy upwards. That means he concentrated more at the shop floor level, he concentrated more at the working class, whereas Fayol worked from the apex downwards. That means with management centered philosophy. So the objective was that how to organize an organization and what are the principles that should be employed within an organization so that the organization can be more efficient. And Chester Bernard also played a very important role in developing this administrative management. He believed that most important function of a manager is to promote cooperative effort towards the goals of the organization. So the emphasis was paid more on the cooperation within an organization. Cooperation within an organization depends on the effective communication and a balance between the reward and the contribution by each employee. So the stress was laid on effective communication, opening up the channels of communication within the organization so that there is free movement of communication and there are not chances of miscommunication within an organization or any problems or any bottlenecks in the flow of communication within an organization. And another important factor that contributed towards the cooperation within an organization, as per Chester Bernard, was that there should be a reward for the contribution made by the employees, so that the stress was laid on recognizing the efforts made by each employee and rewarding them accordingly. But if we look at the limitations of this administrative management, particularly for Henry Fayol's principles of management, we see that there is a lot of contradiction, and many researchers have called them as proverbs, mere proverbs that are contradictory in nature. So if we look for the examples of contradiction within this Henry Fayol's principles of management, we find that the principle of unity of command contradicts with the principle of specialization or division of labor, and the principle of limited span of control contradicts with the number of organization levels that should be kept at the minimum. Besides this, these principles are based on few case studies, and in actual practice they have not been empirically tested. If we look at Henry Fayol's principles, he has not done any kind of extensive research wherein these principles have been empirically tested and validated, but in fact it has been validated by certain case studies. This also shows that the limitation in these principles, application of these principles. Another concept in the area of management is known as the bureaucratic organization. So the bureaucratic theory was given by Max Weber, And the basic principles of Max Weber's bureaucratic theory are: first, division of labor, authority, hierarchy, formal selection, formal rules and regulations, impersonality, and career orientation. So, Max Weber basically stressed on the need for organizing an organization which had its own rules and regulations. He felt that it is not the persons that run the organization, but in fact it is the rules and regulations that should be the guiding principles within the organization, and there should be a kind of division of labor. Stress on division of labor was emphasized because the jobs could be performed more efficiently and effectively once the division of labor was done. Another area that Max Weber laid stress on was formal selection of the employees, and he stressed that since there were specialized tasks that had to be done within an organization, so there should be employees who had the right kind of skill sets to perform those jobs or tasks. So, for getting the people for having the right kind of skill sets for performing those jobs, it was very important that there was a proper selection procedure, wherein the eligibility criteria was determined, and the people were selected as per their qualifications and as per the requirement of the job, so that right persons were selected for the right jobs. Besides, another area that Max Weber stressed on was impersonality. Impersonality referred to the application of rules and regulations without actually seeing the person's relationships or their affiliations. So, it was the equality of application of rules and laws within the organization, irrespective of the person who was actually involved. And third, another important area that Max Weber stressed on was career orientation. Career orientation refers that the individuals who join an organization should have their career paths that are very clear. They should have clear idea about how to perform, what exactly they have to perform, and how they are going to rise up in the career ladder. So, this gave a kind of satisfaction to the employees that if they perform well, they would be rewarded well, and within the organization they have a chance to grow up. The advantages of this bureaucratic model are manifold, and in fact this bureaucratic model has helped to what we call make a consistent employee behavior, and has resulted in increased efficiency within an organization. But over a period of time, we have seen that bureaucratic organizations have become more and more top heavy, more and more heavy, and this has resulted in much emphasis on the rules and regulations rather than performing the jobs. This has created red tapeism within the organization and has in a way stifled the what we call as a need for change within an organization, and has in fact curtailed the stimulus for initiative and developing new concepts and employing new concepts within the organization. So, in fact, it has resulted in a stagnation and stagnant organizations. After this bureaucratic model, we come to the neoclassical theory. The neoclassical theory stretches from the 1920s to 1950s, and two important schools in the neoclassical theory are the human relations school and the behavioral school. And the human relations school is totally opposite to the classical theories. In the classical theory, it was the main idea was that employees get motivated or the workers get motivated mainly through the economic incentives. But in the classical theory, it was held that it is not the economic incentives, but it is the what we call as motivation, proper motivation of an individual, what we call giving an individual, motivating an individual, giving him the due respect, giving him the due recognition within the organization, that helps to, that motivates an employee to perform better and to be more productive within an organization. The Hawthorne studies were the benchmarks in this particular area. And Alton Mayo conducted Hawthorne studies at General Electric plant, and several studies were conducted on the workers, and it was found, especially after the illuminating experiment, that the employees do not get motivated by the factors, what we call economic factors, but in fact they work in groups, and if they are given proper recognition and if they are properly motivated, they will contribute their maximum for the organization. And some of the important contributions of this Elton Mayo's and Roethlisberger in Human Relations School was that existence of it was recognized that there is an existence of strong informal groups within an organization, and Hawthorne experiments proved that beyond doubt that it is the informal groups that play a very important role in the production and productivity of the employees. Previously, the emphasis was laid on the economic factors, but it was found by the Hawthorne experiments that the non-economic factors can play a very important role in motivating the employees and increasing their productivity. And besides this human relations school, we have found that the behavioral school also existed in this neoclassical theory. The behavioral school promoted the behavioral aspects of an organization and role of the human behavior in the productivity and say efficiency of an organization. Abraham Maslow contributed a lot in this behavioral school, giving the need hierarchy theory, where it was proved beyond doubt that there are different levels of hierarchies that motivate a person, and these hierarchies, as per Abraham Maslow, were the basic needs, safety and security needs, say social needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. So then we have the concept of this modern management theory. So modern management theory can be classified into two broader categories: the systems theory and the contingency theory. So the systems theory emphasizes that the organizations can exist as systems, wherein it may be closed systems. Closed system means that it doesn't interact with the external environment, and an open system means where an organization's works interacts with the external environment, and the efficiency of the management dependent on the productivity of an organization, and efficiency of the organization depended how well it interacted with the external environment. And contingency theory is another theory in the modern management, which shows that situational approach towards the problems that management faces, that the problems of management should be should be looked into a particular situation, and the solution for those problems should be found as per the demands of that particular situation. So this was the total roundup of how the management thought evolved, and how management evolved as a separate discipline, and what was the contribution of various researchers in the area of management. Thank you very much.